Now, have you ever wondered why you have so much trouble getting a customer to move through the sales process with you? Whether it's getting them to go on a test drive in a vehicle, or getting them to walk through a real estate property, or getting them to look at a piece of furniture that you're selling. Heck, even on Craigslist, have you ever realized that you've had trouble trying to get someone to actually show up and take a look at the product that you're selling? Well, today I'm going to show you a simple reason why people aren't moving forward in the process and an easy technique for helping them take the next step. And that's what we're going to talk about in this week's tip. So, a lot of times people feel like sales is uh, kind of a career that maybe causes a little bit of tension, a little animosity. Sometimes there's that back and forth and that unnecessary like fighting that goes on internally between the consumer and the sales professional. But I'm here to tell you that doesn't have to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm here to show you how it can be easier. Now, there's an old saying, the customer's always right. But are they really? I mean, let's face it, sometimes they come in misinformed or with preconceived notions that may cause a few hiccups for us in the sales process. So, how do we get past those hiccups? And what's really going on internally and subconsciously that's causing all this guff? Well, it starts by the fact that by nature we tend to disagree. Now, for some reason, customers come in and they're expecting a fight. And what happens is they push or they say certain things, and we get defensive as sales professionals. Here's how we need to overcome that. No matter what the customer says to you, I'd like you to agree with them. Now, I'm not saying that they're right. And when I say agree, let me share what I mean. I'm saying, I understand, or I'm with you, or okay. Because here's the thing, whatever they're saying is what they're truly feeling. Now, it doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that you embrace that belief system. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. But the fact of the matter is, if they're saying it, they're thinking it, they're believing it. So we need to start at a point of agreement and then move with them through the process. See, if we stop doing this, we can start doing this. So how does that sound? Well, let's do it from an automotive perspective. When a customer is looking at a vehicle and they say, man, this thing's expensive. A lot of salespeople immediately want to justify why it's not so expensive and protect their product's brand. Oh, well, it's really not that expensive for what you get. I mean, da 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 da. And immediately what we've said to the customer by saying, well, it's not that expensive, is we're saying, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Your opinion is bad. And let's face it, that's not fair to the customer because perception is that it's expensive to them. So instead of disagreeing, here's what it would look like if we started a point of agreement. Well, customer says, geez, this car's really expensive. You know what? It is. And they seem to get more expensive every year, don't they? Now, let me show you a couple reasons, though, why this car is so amazing and why it's worth every penny. See the difference there? Instead of saying, well, it's not that expensive, and let me show you why, instead of being in defensive mode, I'm agreeing with them, saying, you know what? They are. And they seem to go up every year, don't they? But let me show you what makes this so great and why so many people buy it anyway. There's another way to agree. Or let's face it, have you ever gone to buy a vehicle? Have you ever tried to trade in your vehicle? Have they ever given you enough for your trade-in? Right? It's never enough. We all know that. So if you were selling vehicles, for example, and you present figures to a customer and they say, well, that's not enough for my trade-in, you should just agree with them. I know, it never is. In fact, the matter is, I've never gotten enough for my trade-ins either. But let me show you how we arrived at this value, and let me show you the great deal I'm going to give you on the new one so that we can make this balance out. Now, this doesn't have to be with automobiles. Let's say you're selling furniture, or let's say you're selling real estate, for example. Someone's looking at a property. Man, this place sure is expensive. You know what? It isn't the most affordable house on the block, but let me show you why it's the best house on the block. Or they say to you, wow, this house is so big, it probably costs a lot to heat. You know what? A house this size normally would, and you're probably right. But let me show you why you're going to be happy to pay those extra heating costs. Let me show you this beautiful floor plan. See, no matter what it is that the customer is bringing to you, you can always agree and then move forward. Heck, you can even do it when you're trying to close the deal. When you present figures to somebody, whether it's on a home, an automobile, a boat, furniture, whatever it is you're selling, and they go, whoa, you know what? That's a lot of money. You know what? You're right. It is, but do it anyway. Now you're saying, well, Matt, why would I say that? I'll tell you why. Because that's going to make you and the customer both pause to think for a moment. See, they're looking at it for a reason. They knew how much it cost when they looked at it. They had an idea, and they wanted it. That's why they're there. So sometimes we just need to acknowledge that they have a concern and then encourage them to take that next step. Holy cow, this is just a lot of money. You know what? You're right. It is. But do it anyway. The customer says, well, what do you mean do it anyway? Well, I mean, you like it. And no matter what you buy, it's always going to feel like it's too much money. So if you're going to spend too much money, you may as well do it on the home, car, boat, furniture that's going to make you happy. I need your okay right here. Thanks for tuning in for this week's tip. I look forward to seeing you next week for more sales tips and motivation.